I should have known the universe was cruel when I saw her name on the office door. Ava Carter. The woman who shattered me 6 years ago, and the one I swore I'd never let break me again. But there she was, standing under the sterile fluorescent lights of the marketing department like some beautifully wrapped mistake fate had decided to return to sender. My heart, that stupid traitor, didn't even hesitate. It just started racing, pounding, screaming her name all over again. Evelyn, she said with that calm, velvet voice I used to drown in. It's been a while. A while. That's one way to describe 6 years of silence, tears, and trying to forget the taste of her goodbye. I forced a professional smile, the kind that says I'm over it, even though every nerve in my body was on fire. Welcome to Brooks Advertising, I said coolly. Let's keep it professional, shall we? Her lips curved, half amusement, half ache. Of course, she murmured. But her eyes, God, those green eyes told another story entirely. The first week was torture. We were assigned to the same campaign, a high-stakes account for a luxury perfume brand that demanded chemistry, passion, emotion. The irony wasn't lost on me. The client wanted a campaign that feels like falling in love all over again. Yeah, perfect. Ava was brilliant, damn her. She always had been. Her ideas were bold and intuitive, her instincts sharp. She'd scribble on the whiteboard with that intense focus that made everyone lean in, and I'd find myself studying her profile like an idiot. The slight crease between her brows, the way she bit her lip when thinking details my mind should have deleted years ago. Evelyn, what do you think? She asked one afternoon, snapping me out of a very unprofessional daydream. I think, I said, tapping my pen, you still like to take control of the room. She smirked. And you still like to challenge me. Touché. The room filled with quiet laughter from our team, but beneath it, something pulsed, a dangerous current, something too alive, too familiar. Nights were the worst. After long meetings, we'd both stay late, polishing presentations, fixing copy, avoiding eye contact. The office after hours was dim, the city lights spilling through the glass walls, painting everything in gold and blue. One night, I caught her staring at me. Do you ever think about, she began, then stopped. Her voice cracked just slightly. Don't, I whispered, standing up so fast my chair squeaked. Don't do that. Do what? Act like the past doesn't hurt. Silence. Heavy, suffocating. Then she stood too, closing the distance between us. Her perfume, jasmine and rain, hit me like a memory I didn't ask for. It does hurt, she said quietly. Every day. My throat tightened. I wanted to stay angry. I wanted to say something cruel. Remind her of the night she left me standing in the rain with nothing but an engagement ring and 1,000 questions. But instead my voice betrayed me. Then why did you leave? Her eyes glistened. Because I was scared. Of what people would say. Of losing everything I'd worked for. Of loving you too much. God, I wanted to hate her. But the truth is, hearing her say she loved me still made my heart skip like it used to. I looked away. That's not love, Ava. That's fear wearing love's perfume. Days passed, but the tension never did. She'd bring me coffee without asking. I'd leave post-it notes on her desk correcting typos just to annoy her. Our coworkers started whispering something about how we had chemistry. If only they knew how right they were. One afternoon, after a particularly heated creative meeting, I stormed out to the rooftop terrace. The wind was sharp, the sky pale and restless. I needed air. Ava followed, of course. You can't keep running from this, she said behind me. Watch me. Evelyn, please. Her voice cracked again. When I turned, she was closer than I expected, eyes shining, hair wild in the wind. You think I don't regret it? She said. I replay that night every time I close my eyes. I wanted to stay. I wanted to fight for us. But I was coward. I finished for her. She flinched. Then softly. Yes. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The city hummed below, indifferent to two broken hearts trying to rebuild themselves. Then she stepped closer. I'm not running anymore, she whispered. And damn it, neither was I. Before I could think, before reason could scream, she kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate, messy, aching. 6 years of longing poured into one moment that felt like both punishment and salvation. When she finally pulled back, my hands were trembling. That doesn't fix everything, I managed to say. I know, she said. But it's a start. That night I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her the way she looked after the kiss, vulnerable and fierce all at once. I kept telling myself it was a mistake, that history doesn't deserve a second chance. But my heart kept whispering otherwise. And when I came into the office the next morning and saw a small note on my desk, her handwriting, still elegant and familiar, I knew I was already lost. If love is a risk, I'm finally ready to take it. Meet me tonight. Rooftop. 8 p.m. I stared at it for a long time, pulse hammering in my ears. 6 years ago, she walked away from me. Tonight, I had to decide if I was ready to walk back. I told myself not to go. I told myself a dozen times that meeting Ava on that rooftop would be a mistake, that it would only reopen the wounds I'd spent 6 years stitching closed. But at 7:45, I was already in the elevator, watching the numbers climb to 24. My hands were shaking. My reflection in the metal doors looked calm, but inside I was chaos. When the elevator chimed and the doors slid open, the night air hit me cool, fragrant, alive with the hum of distant traffic. She was there, of course, waiting near the edge, the city lights spilling around her like some cinematic confession. Ava turned when she heard the door. A faint, uncertain smile crossed her lips. "You came." "Apparently," I said, trying to sound detached. "I failed." She took a slow step closer. "I wasn't sure you would." I wasn't sure either. For a long moment we just stood there, the air thick with all the words we hadn't said. Then she sighed, voice trembling. "Evelyn, I don't expect forgiveness. I need you to know I didn't stop loving you. Not then. Not ever." Her words hit like a punch to the chest. "Do you have any idea," I said quietly, "what it was like to watch you walk away? To think I wasn't enough." Tears welled in her eyes. "You were everything. That was the problem." I blinked, caught off guard. "What does that even mean?" "It means," she said, voice breaking, "you made me want to risk everything. My career, my reputation, my family's expectations. And I wasn't brave enough back then. I let fear win." I laughed bitterly. "Congratulations, Ava. Fear got you 6 years of loneliness." She stepped closer, her hand almost reaching for mine but stopping halfway. "And now maybe courage can bring me back to you." Something inside me cracked, not completely, just enough for light to slip through. "I don't know if I can trust you again," I whispered. Her gaze didn't waver. "Then let me earn it." Over the next few weeks, something shifted between us. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was something softer, quieter. Understanding, maybe. The campaign we worked on became our unspoken bridge. We met after hours to brainstorm, shared coffee at sunrise, debated taglines that somehow always circled back to the same idea: love that defies time. Sometimes I wondered if the universe was laughing at us. One night, while reviewing edits on her laptop, Ava glanced up and said, "Do you ever think about how ridiculous this is? We're writing ads about love like we didn't completely fail at it." I smirked. "Maybe that's why we're good at it." She chuckled softly. "Maybe." Then her expression turned serious. "I missed your sarcasm." "Yeah, well, I missed not thinking about you every day." The words slipped out before I could stop them. Her breath caught. "You think about me? Don't flatter yourself." But my blush gave me away, and her smile, God, that smile warmed something deep inside me I thought had died. A week later, the company held a weekend retreat in Napa Valley, a mandatory team bonding event that sounded more like corporate torture. Still, I went. I figured a few days surrounded by vineyards and overenthusiastic coworkers might be a decent distraction. It wasn't, because Ava was there too. The first night, we were assigned to the same discussion group. The topic: overcoming barriers in communication. Perfect irony. She sat across from me, legs crossed, taking notes while pretending not to look at me. I pretended not to notice. Everyone else was talking about project deadlines and marketing strategies, but all I could hear was the pounding of my own heart. Later, after the session, we found ourselves alone by the fire pit. The night smelled like wine and wood smoke, and laughter from inside the lodge faded into the background. "Remember when we used to talk about moving to California?" she asked, her voice low. "Yeah," I said. "Back when we thought love could pay rent." She smiled wistfully. "I wanted it so badly. A life with you. But I was terrified of being seen." I met her gaze. "You can't love someone halfway, Ava." I know that now, she whispered. I'm done hiding. And then without warning she reached out, brushing a strand of hair from my face. Her fingers lingered at my cheek, trembling slightly. Tell me to stop, she murmured. I didn't. When she kissed me this time it wasn't desperate, it was deliberate. Slow. Healing. The kind of kiss that doesn't demand forgiveness but asks for it. My walls crumbled. Maybe not all the way, but enough to feel the warmth seep in. When we finally pulled apart, I whispered, "This doesn't mean we're back together." She smiled gently. "I'll take not hating me for now." The next morning I woke early and stepped outside my cabin. The valley stretched out in soft gold light, the vineyards glistening with dew. I found Ava sitting alone on a wooden bench, sketching something in her notebook. "What are you doing up so early?" I asked, still groggy. She smiled without looking up. "Trying to capture the sunrise. It reminds me of you." "Corny," I said, but my voice softened. She looked up, meeting my eyes. "Honest." I sat beside her. "You always did like romantic clichés. Only when they're true." The quiet between us was easy now, no sharp edges, no bitterness. Just two women sitting in the dawn, rediscovering something they thought they'd lost. "I want to try again," she said finally. "Not just the campaign. Us." I looked out at the vineyards, at the soft horizon that seemed to stretch forever. "And what happens if it falls apart again? Then at least we'll know we were brave enough to try." I sighed, heart caught between reason and hope. "You make it sound so simple." "It's not," she admitted. "But love never is." Back in the city, everything felt different. We weren't officially together, but the air between us buzzed with possibility. She'd glance at me during meetings, a small secret smile that only I could read. One evening, after a late presentation, she caught up to me in the elevator. "Dinner?" she asked. "Professional dinner or emotional catastrophe dinner?" She laughed. "Hopefully both." We ended up at a quiet restaurant downtown, candles flickering between us. For the first time in years we really talked. About our families, our fears, the versions of ourselves we'd become. "I spent so long pretending to be fine," she said softly. "Pretending that walking away was the right choice. But every relationship after you felt like chasing a ghost." My throat tightened. "And now?" She reached across the table, her fingers brushing mine. "Now I just want something real." I stared at her hand, at the tremor of vulnerability there, and finally took it. The simple touch felt monumental, like a truce signed in silence. But life, as always, wasn't done testing us. A week later, our boss announced a promotion opportunity: creative director. Only one of us would get it. And just like that, the fragile peace between us began to crack. I saw the conflict in her eyes. We both wanted it. We both deserved it. That night, we stayed late again, preparing our separate pitches. The office was quiet, except for the clacking of keyboards and the occasional sigh. Around midnight, Ava leaned back in her chair and looked at me. "What happens if one of us wins?" I didn't look up. "Then one of us celebrates, and the other pretends not to care." "Evelyn," I finally met her gaze. Don't make this harder than it already is." Her lips parted, but no words came. For the first time since she'd returned, I saw fear in her again, but this time, it wasn't fear of love. It was fear of losing it all over again. She stood, walked over, and placed a small folded note on my desk. "Read it later," she said softly, then left. I stared at that note for a long time, my chest tight. When I finally opened it, the handwriting was shaky but unmistakable. "If I have to choose between the job and you, I'll choose you every time. I already lost you once. I'm not doing it again." My breath caught. God help me, I was falling for her all over again, and this time, it scared me even more. The day of the promotion presentation arrived like a storm. The office buzzed with nervous energy, polished shoes on tile floors, the smell of espresso and ambition in the air. Ava and I barely spoke that morning. We'd both been rehearsing all week, and the tension between us had thickened into something heavy and unspeakable. When our boss, Mark, called us in one by one, the only thing I could think was how poetic and cruel it was that we'd come this far just to be pitted against each other again. I went first. My pitch was strong, confident. Every slide, every line of copy came from somewhere honest inside me. When I finished, Mark smiled and nodded approvingly. I felt proud but also hollow. Then Ava walked in. Through the glass wall I could see her standing there poised, radiant, entirely herself. She spoke with conviction, passion. Her voice carried the same warmth that had once told me she loved me. Watching her, I realized something simple and devastating. She was brilliant. She deserved this as much as I did. Maybe more. When it was over, the board deliberated. The office grew silent, everyone pretending to work while eavesdropping on fate. Ava walked up beside my desk, her face unreadable. "Whatever happens," she said quietly, "I'm proud of you." "Don't say that," I murmured. "You'll make me hope for something impossible." Maybe impossible things are all we've ever been good at. Before I could answer, Mark emerged from the conference room, his expression calm and practiced. "Congratulations, Evelyn," he said. "You're our new creative director." Applause broke out. My coworkers smiled, clapped, patted my shoulder. But all I could see was Ava, standing perfectly still, her lips curving into a small, genuine smile. She clapped too. Slowly, softly. And somehow that hurt more than anything else. That evening I stayed late to pack up my old desk. The office was empty, the city outside painted in silver and neon. I heard footsteps behind me. "You earned it," she said. I didn't turn around. "So did you. I meant what I wrote, you know." Her voice trembled. "If it came down to the job or you, I would have chosen you." I swallowed hard. "You shouldn't have to choose." She sighed. "Maybe that's the point. Maybe love means choosing every day, even when it's hard." Finally I turned. She looked so achingly beautiful in that moment, tired, honest, human. "I'm not going anywhere," I said softly. "You don't have to give up who you are for me." Her eyes shimmered. "You mean that?" "Yeah. I want you, not the version of you that sacrifices everything. The one who's brave enough to stay." She laughed quietly, tears threatening to spill. "You make it sound easy." "It's not. But maybe it's worth it." A silence fell between us, filled with the hum of the city below. Then slowly she reached out her hand. And this time I didn't hesitate. Our fingers intertwined, tentative but sure. For the first time it didn't feel like the end of something, it felt like a beginning. Weeks passed. The campaign launched, a success beyond anything we'd imagined. Billboards across the city carried our tagline. Love that returns, stronger than before. Every time I saw it, I thought of her. At work we found our rhythm again, partners, equals, and quietly something more. We didn't hide it, but we didn't flaunt it either. Our love had learned humility, the kind that grows not from fireworks, but from everyday courage. One evening as we walked out of the office, the sunset spilled across the sky in streaks of pink and gold. Ava stopped on the steps, looking at me with that same spark I'd fallen for years ago. "You know," she said, "the woman I loved used to be impossible, stubborn, guarded, and way too sarcastic." I grinned. "Sounds like someone you'd fall for twice." She laughed, that pure, unguarded sound I hadn't heard in years. "Yeah, I guess I did." We stood there for a moment, the world moving around us, taxis honking, people rushing home, but somehow it all felt distant. "I'm not afraid anymore," she said quietly. "Not of loving you. Not of being seen." I brushed my thumb along her cheek. "Then don't be. We've already lost too much time." She smiled, eyes glistening. "So what now?" "Now," I said, taking her hand, "we live. We love. And we stop running." Later that night we sat on my apartment balcony, a bottle of red wine between us, city lights shimmering below. Ava leaned against me, her head resting on my shoulder. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we'd stayed together back then?" "Every day," I admitted. "But maybe we needed to fall apart to find our way back." She looked up at me, eyes soft. "You think love really gets second chances?" I smiled. "If it's real, it doesn't stop waiting." She kissed me, then slow, steady, filled with the kind of peace that only comes after surviving the storm. And for the first time in years I didn't feel the weight of what we'd lost. Only gratitude for what we'd found again. Love, I realized, isn't about perfection. It's about forgiveness. About showing up even after you've failed each other. It's about looking into someone's eyes and saying, "I choose you anyway." As the city lights blurred into stars and the night wrapped around us like a promise, I whispered against her hair, "I'm home." And she smiled, her voice barely a whisper. "Welcome back." Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.